Here we go. What's up, ladies and gents? It is AJ Forbes with Noah Ambule. Today we got two in the barn for this episode. This is another episode of Boys Talkin Ball. First thing on the agenda is we found out this last weekend, that the Chiefs are indeed human. They suffered their first loss of the season at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. What a story, right? I mean, it feels like we've been talking about it all year. It felt like the Chiefs couldn't keep doing what they've been doing all year and find themselves successful. And here we are. It finally happened. Now, did it take Josh Allen, who is probably going to be the MVP, who is the MVP favorite now to be a Superman? Yeah, it did, but it happened, and I think a lot of people are happy about that.
Yeah, I feel like it's very impressive for the Bills to get this done without Dalton Kincaid, without Keon Coleman. They're two of their best weapons on the field, without Matt Milano on defense. This Bills team had a lot to prove, and I think my biggest takeaway from this was Sean McDermott or whatever his name is,
Yep,
taking that step on 4th and 2 of like, okay, we can't kick the field goal and go at 5 and kick it to Patrick Mahomes. We're gonna lose. It's 4th and 2. We have Josh Allen. Let's let Josh Allen be
that's
Josh Allen and go win the game. Like
mhm.
that's the biggest thing. Like it feels like every time they played before this, they would have kicked the field goal. Patrick Mahomes would have got the ball. They would have scored, would have won. But I think that you could see that progression of a coach just trusting his guy a little bit more. And with how well Josh Allen's played this year, it's hard not to. It's hard not
Absolutely,
to trust
absolutely,
Josh.
absolutely. And I think it's always a really cool thing to see coaches evolve and realize that they need to be aggressive, right? Because I was listening to a podcast where the old Panthers coach, Ron Rivera,
Jack
old,
Del Rio,
old,
Ron Rivera.
Jack Del Rio is dealing with his own stuff right now, but it was Ron Rivera,
He
right?
was the first one that came to my mind.
It was Ron Rivera. I can't remember who he was talking to, but he was talking about his experience with John Madden, right? Because he was a young coach. Ron Rivera was a young coach at this point in his career. He had just gone 3-13. All right, he starts talking to John Madden. John Madden, being the mentor that he is, takes him in during the summer, spring or summer, and asks Ron Rivera, what do you think you're doing wrong? And then Ron Rivera like comes in super prepared, has a bunch of notes from each game, blah blah blah, and then it's John Madden was like, "So what did you learn?" And then Ron Rivera was like, "I'm I'm not aggressive enough." And then John Madden was like, "Yes, that's exactly what's wrong. You're kicking field goals on fourth and short. You're not going for the deep shots when you need to go for it. Throw an onside kick in there every once in a while. You need to be aggressive in order to win games." And then it was an immediate turnaround. Ron Rivera took that in stride, immediate turnaround. So and I,
That's
I
crazy.
love I know it's a great story, and so I think it shows that all these coaches like that, especially like guys like Nick Sirianni, who we get on when it comes to like the analytics side of things. Yeah, I think Nick Sirianni is in the same branch as like Lane Kiffin when it comes to these things. He's not afraid to be aggressive. He's not afraid to go for two. He's not afraid to go for it on fourth down. And I enjoy seeing coaches do this. Now you got to do it at the right time, right? Because if you don't get it at the wrong time, it can be pretty disastrous. But you're
And
right.
then you're basically Brandon Staley.
Exactly. When you do it all the time, that's when you get in trouble. But when you know when you need to be aggressive and you do it at the right time, that's when you have success. And I think that's why the Eagles are having a lot of success right now. Obviously, Lane Kiffin, he had a guy on the sidelines for the longest time with a binder, literally full of different studies and sheets talking about when he needs to do what, right? So you are 100% right. I agree with you. The fact that Sean McDermott was like, yeah, it's 4th and 2, but we got Josh Allen. We're gonna go win this. We're gonna go win this sucker. I love that.
Yeah. I love coaching to win the game and not like coaching to well, not lose the game, but manage the game.
But
Like
manage, yeah.
it feels like you could get a field goal there. It's more like you're not like it's not saying that you're gonna lose for sure since you did that, but it's like kind of the managing situation where it's like this is the smart thing to do.
Mhm.
But you got Josh Allen, which big fan of that guy. How if you're if Josh Allen is not in your division, how are you not a Josh Allen fan? That is the
Literally,
thing. Like I have to watch it. The Patriots play Josh Allen the last like two, three, like they play him twice in the last 3 weeks, like every year at this point. And I just get
Mhm.
to watch Josh Allen just run all over this team and throw the ball, like do whatever he wants. And it's just so discouraging. But it's like if he's not in your division, same with the Lions too in this aspect. How can you not cheer for the Lions and the Bills to meet in the Super Bowl? How great would
Mhm.
that be? How
That'd
great
be
for
awesome.
everybody that would be. But I think it's interesting. This Chiefs team we've been talking about all year, they finally got.
Yep.
And they got a rebound game with the Panthers coming up. That line's moved down from it was 11 and a half, it's now 10 and a half after they lost to the Bills. Um, wouldn't it be the funniest thing ever if the Panthers just they show up and Bryce Young's just throwing it all over the yard and beat them? That'd be the best
Hmm.
thing ever.
Hmm.
But I think this one seed's going to be an interesting deal, like for the AFC, because Buffalo see a huge home field advantage, or going to Kansas City is a huge home field advantage. Then you throw in the Steelers. Are
Steelers are turning into a fun team right now.
they're a really fun team, and it's really funny because their offense isn't that fun, but they're a fun team.
They are.
Like, and
I mean,
we got the
it's like this kind of the Steelers of old, right? They've always been defensive dominant. They're right there. Defense has been dominant all season, right? TJ Watt's
and they
been
just
leading the
have
way.
the Ravens number.
Yep,
Like they just for some reason, I think the stat is they won the last 7 of 8 against the Ravens or something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
Like it's some stat like that. I'm like, it just makes no sense.
Hmm.
Like it just really doesn't. And so
No.
I'm very curious to see like the Chiefs go Panthers, Raiders, then they got the Chargers, Browns, Texans, Steelers, Broncos.
Yep.
Now Broncos game at the end of the year could be the Broncos getting into the playoffs or the Broncos not getting in. It's like they got
Hmm.
some teams left that are very good that have looked almost better than the Chiefs have all year. So I'm very
Absolutely.
interested to see how their schedule kind of turns out after that, getting that first loss.
Yep.
But it is a championship pedigree team. Like you gotta
It is.
that is true. So we'll see.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
interested.
Yep. You're always the king of the mountain until you get got, right? And I think we saw I think we saw the first pierce in the armor now. And I think usually when with teams like this who have been skating by, right? They were undefeated coming into this last weekend. Teams who have been skating by and then they lose one, right? They start losing a couple more, right? Because
Hmm.
that feeling of invincibility, that feeling of like, all right, yeah, we're going to be good no matter what. It's good. I mean, that's gone now. I mean, you know what it feels like to lose now. They haven't lost since Christmas last year, right? That's a
Yeah.
lot of I mean, that's a lot of winning. And
To the
once
Raiders.
it, and then when you get that first chink in the armor, there's usually some that's going to fall off, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's the Chiefs, it's Pat Mahomes, it's Andy Reid. You always got to keep them in contention, right? As long as those guys are together, you got to keep them in contention. But we saw that first domino fall, right? Bills have been great all year. Excited to see how they go for the rest of the year. Now, on the on the complete opposite side of the conversation, talking going from Super Bowl contenders to the New York Giants. News popped today that Daniel Jones is going to be benched. Right? Not only is he not the second string quarterback, he's not the third string quarterback. He is the fourth string quarterback for the New York Football Giants with a cap hit of at least $40 million until 2027. All right. I think we all saw this coming, right? I think we saw this coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel bad for him, but I think it was
I
pretty.
do.
The writing was on the wall.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I go for it.
they'll never make me hate Daniel Jones. I'll tell you that right now. They will never make me hate him. But it is just a very unfortunate situation. There's nothing good happening on that team.
Yeah.
Besides Malik Neighbors, about the only bright spot in that defensive line.
Yep.
There's about two things good on that team, but nothing better than Tommy DeVito coming in for Thanksgiving against Cooper Rush next week. That'll be a good one. That'll
Yeah.
be a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just a bad situation.
Yeah.
There's no
They
better way to put it. It's just a terrible situation. At what point do they fire Dable? Are they going to? I'm very interested to see that. I think Dable's a good coach. I wouldn't get rid of him, but
I agree.
I don't know. Where do you go? I just don't- like I don't know where they go from here.
I don't know. You bring Belichick back. You could do that, but regardless of the hypothetical coaching changes here in New York, this is just a bad situation, especially if you're Daniel Jones. And like you said, I like Daniel Jones. I think he's a good dude, right? He just has he just hasn't proved that he is going to
Anything.
be anything, right? He hasn't proved. And I hate to kick a guy while he's down, right? I hate to kick a guy that's behind Tim Boyle on the depth chart right now. He's thrown 8 touchdowns this year. He's had 7 interceptions. All right. The whole controversy coming into the season was talking about whether the Giants should have extended Saquon or they should have extended Daniel Jones. They decided to extend Daniel Jones. Now Saquon is close to having an offensive player of the year season in Philadelphia, right? It, and I referenced the cap numbers earlier. He's going to have a $40 million cap hit for the rest of his contract, with a damn near $60 million cap hit in 2026, right? The Giants save about $19 million if they release him before July 1st this upcoming season. They eat 22 million, right? But they save $19 million. So I
Just
mean
such a bad situation.
it's so tough, right? And I
It's
think
just so bad.
and
Like this,
like you said, the writing's on the wall, right? He's now the fourth string quarterback. We're halfway through the season. He's probably not going to play again the rest of the year, right? Writing's on the wall. I think the Daniel Jones era is going to be done here in New York.
I think you're right. No, you're probably right. But the hard part is how do you let him go, you know? Like because playoff winner. We can't forget this. He
Won a
did win a
playoff game.
playoff game. And so it does it is funny because part of me thinks you get Daniel like somehow a Giants team makes the playoff again with Daniel Jones at some point in his career. He's
Mm.
gonna be like Eli Manning, go win the whole thing at some point. Like this is I just don't know how. I don't know how they look the same. I don't know. It's just
They look the same.
such a it's a tough reality when your franchise player that was a running back, say in Saquon, your
Hmm.
franchise player, everybody loved him. You have the option between him and like a mid-tier quarterback, which
Hmm.
we've talked about extensively. That is what Daniel Jones is.
Yep.
Like you're talking about that situation, you extend the quarterback because it's probably harder to find a good quarterback than it is a running back.
Yep.
But then that franchise running back goes in division and comes back to New York and just kills you. And then like it's just having the best year of his career probably almost. Like since he was a young guy.
Ever since his rookie year, yeah.
Yeah. So I said it's a tough situation for Giants fans everywhere. I don't I will never forget the clip of the in the out of season Hard Knocks, whatever it was, where the GM's like, we're not resigning Saquon, and the owner's like, basically, what the fuck? And
Yeah.
he's
Yep.
like, and then Dayball just walks out, and I'm like,
Yep.
they never put him in a good situation either. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's the tough part.
And like you said, I think Dable's a great coach. I mean, he proved what he can do while he was in Buffalo, right?
Yeah,
I think he's a really good coach. But now we
yeah,
talk
I
about
think
the other end of it. Oh, yeah. Go ahead and finish your thought.
I was gonna say I think there's a lot of teams that would take him as their head coach if he got fired this year.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely. And then,
he'd be a top three candidate behind like Ben Johnson and probably a couple other guys. But
yep. Yep. And I think the really the more interesting aspect of this is who the Giants have decided to go with instead of Daniel Jones. Now, Drew Lock has been the number two all season. He's been the number two all season long. And I think Drew Lock went to the Giants in free agency knowing that he was going to have an opportunity because he saw the whole Daniel Jones situation. And I think a lot Daniel Drew Lock has a good following, right? He has a
yeah,
good following. And
I'm
I
in that
think
following. I'm
I
a
know
big fan.
I am too, ever since he was at Missouri.
Yeah.
And so the Giants' decision, they're going with they're now going with Tommy DeVito. What the fuck, right? Like,
No, I think you're 100% right.
and so and I did some research into it. Get all Spotrac. That's a great site to use if you're
Great
a
site.
degenerate like me and you talking about sports, right? I found that Drew Lock has probably $1 million to $1.5 million of attainable incentives in his contract, right? Those contracts are mostly playing time, right? It's playing time, like it's like 40, 50, 60, 70% of the snaps. He can get close to 60% of the snaps this year if he was the full-time starter for the rest of the season. Now, Tommy DeVito does not. Tommy DeVito's whole contract is hovered right at about $1 million. I couldn't see a whole lot of incentives in there, but on top of Drew Lock's contract, there are a bunch of incentives that lead up to $1 million to $1.5 million. And it blows my mind that an organization would make a decision based on this, but I don't see why it would be any other way. Drew Lock certainly looked like he was confused
Yeah,
during the interview after practice. Hey, did you see that? He was like, yeah, I'm kind of asking myself the same question. Just blah blah blah. But
it's
no,
just it's there's really no other way to put it besides it's just bullshit. Like, I mean, that's really the only way. It's an owner not wanting to give out that extra 1 million to $1.5 million. And I think it's an owner that's still mad that he doesn't have his toy in Saquon anymore. I think it's like he's like pinching pennies now all of a sudden. It's a bad deal. I feel
mm,
terrible for Drew Lock. I get that it's a business and like these are like most of these guys are very successful business people throughout the most part of their lives. I get it, but it's just like how can you my problem is how can you sign somebody during the off season with these incentives listed and then now that like you're realizing you're gonna have to pay for it because of how everything's going, why all of a sudden can you be like, no, we're not gonna play you? Like
yeah,
it just the Drew Lock bump would have been like at least 3 weeks. Like I would have bet on the Giants for 3 weeks in a row with Drew Lock.
uh-huh,
Um,
yeah,
but it's just I don't know. I think it's
and
I
I mean,
just
you
think
look
people need
at.
to live up to that expectation when you sign somebody.
I agree, and like I said, I think that's one of the main reasons why Drew Lock went to New York is because he thought that he was going to have an opportunity with Daniel Jones playing with how he has been the last couple of years, right? And you look at the successful teams across the league, right? I don't think anyone, including Giants ownership, would say that the Giants have been super successful over the last few years, right? They had the one playoff win, what, 3, 4 years ago, right? All the
Yeah,
six, all
20
the
somewhere in there, 2022,
so,
2023,
something like that.
somewhere in there.
All the successful teams, right? They look at the incentives and people's contracts, and they're like, "Oh, so and so, he needs 3 catches to get $1 million. All right, we're gonna get him those 3 catches, right?" There's that famous clip of Tom Brady and Gronk when they were both in
Hmm.
Tampa for that 1 or 2 years. Gronk is like, "Hey, I need a catch for a millie. Need a catch for a millie," and then Brady's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I got you." And it was just like a 4 or 5 yard little dump off, right? $1 million. All the
Yeah.
successful teams, and the same thing with Dan Campbell. Like he knows what those incentives are, right? And so I would assume the coaches and the ownership for the Giants know what this is. Know what the incentives are for Drew Lock. And that's a really shitty way of going about it, especially with a guy who's been your number 2 all year.
Yeah, and I think the tough part is for a lot of the good teams, like when you're hiring or when you're getting those guys signed on that are like playing at vet minimum, a lot of their contract is through these incentives. Like
Yes.
a lot of these like good teams, like you're saying, like the Chiefs do this, the Patriots did it back in the
Yep.
day, the Bucks, everybody does this. That's good. And what kind of precedent is it showing if as a team, as an organization, if you're trying to hire guys cheaper next year and you're like, hey, if you get these incentives, you'll get more money. But we might bench you. Like if you get close to it, we might just bench you unless we're in the hunt.
Yep.
Like it's
And
just
this is the last thing I'll say about this. I saw Mark Schlereth uh, on TV this morning, and he was talking about just that. He was like, what message does that send to free agents that you're trying to sign next year? You know, you're not going to go to the playoffs this year. What does that say to all the free agents that you want to try to cut, that you want to try to bring in to try to make this team a contender? Right? It shows them that you're going to give them promises. right? You're going to give them incentives in their contract that the team is not going to work with you to make sure you get those, right? To make sure that you are taken care of. And like you said, those vet minimums, some of those guys can double, triple their salary, right? With those incentives. And then second, it shows that they're not they don't want to win. They don't want to win right now. Like
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, Drew Lock has been in the league for a long time. He's a winning. I think he's a winning quarterback. Tommy DeVito he's played in 9 games in his career. I'm looking up. He started 6 games. He has 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in his career. When he made that pretty cool run when Daniel Jones. He did, and Danny DeVito played really well when he was in there. Right, it was when Daniel Jones tore his ACL a couple years ago. Last year, a couple years ago. But I would say a lot of people would think that Drew Lock would be the guy that you would want taking snaps back there if you're truly looking to win games.
Yeah. I think that's the hard part is like for your future, it doesn't look good. Like
No.
it's just a terrible look. And I think this is why the Giants will be in this situation for a little while until they figure it out, you know?
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be at least another year before playoff football comes back to New York. New York in general, by the way. That's a whole other. We could talk about the Jets for the next 45 minutes, but we
Yeah,
were
don't
talking
get me
about.
started on the Jets. Don't give. See, they lost to Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson. They lost to Anthony Richardson. Gosh, who would have guessed it? Gosh, no one ever would have expected it. Gosh, this Jets team's so good. What happened? What happened? What could have gone wrong? Golly.
Did you see on the Pat McAfee show today when they were talking to JJ Watt? There was a it was the Ask Jage segment that they had. It was if you were a commissioner of the NFL for a day, what is one rule that you would make? And one of the ideas that came up was if you didn't have a playoff win in 15 years, you had to sell the team.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Jets are at 13 right now.
Yeah,
if you were, I think Miami's at 18. There's like 3 teams I think that would be on that list that
that's
you'd have to sell the
crazy.
team.
Speaking of the Jets, how many wins do you think they end with here? They
I
play the
don't even know
Seahawks. I'll
what
go.
what are
I'll
they
go
at?
through.
What are they at right now? What's the record right now?
3-8.
3-8. Jesus. All
They
right.
play the Seahawks after this bye week. They
Okay.
lose, in my mind.
Yep.
You lose to the Dolphins, most likely.
Likely.
You're 3-10. You probably beat the Jags. You probably beat the Jags on the road. You're four
Four
and
four and
ten.
10. 4-10.
You think they're not good enough to beat the Rams?
4-11.
4-11. The Bills on the
Four and
road.
12. 4-12.
The Dolphins back at home.
I'll give them 5.
5-12. Just is it the biggest disappointment of a team maybe ever?
I mean,
I feel like it's hard to argue any
you look
otherwise.
at you look at the talent that is on that team, and talent isn't everything, right? I've always been a big proponent of that, but like that team had so much going for them coming into the season, right? And it just has they've done nothing with it. They tried to make a big splash move and got Devontae Adams, right? I mean, and we talked about it when it happened. We didn't think that was going to make a whole lot of difference, right? And it hasn't because I don't think receiver was not an issue for this team, right?
No, the guy wearing number eight's the issue.
I I hate to say it, but I mean that's if you're going to point a finger at somebody, you're probably going to have to point a finger at him. I mean,
And it's
I
not
wouldn't
his
say
fault
it's not.
entirely.
No, it's. I mean, it's a whole team thing, really. And what we found out really is that it's an organizational thing,
Yeah, the
right?
Jets is the Jets.
Yeah, it's an
Jet.
organizational thing. They just fired their GM today,
I
right?
saw that.
So they fired their head coach. They fired their general manager. So is Aaron Rodgers now the first player coach GM in NFL history?
Probably. Probably. I mean, I'm
All right,
just it's just hilarious. It's just
it's
so funny.
all right. We're going to talk about. Jeez. I hate being negative, but we're at that point of the season. All right. we got we got one more team that we're going to talk about, and it's the Bengals. All right, they are wasting an MVP worthy season of Joe Burrow, and they are wasting a possible triple crown winning season by Jamar Chase. And like we were talking about it earlier before we started recording, they got three studs on this team. They got Joe Burrow, they got Jamar Chase, and they got Trey Hendrickson. Right, I'm gonna throw Trey Hendrickson into that category with them. Those are really their three best players.
They're all leading their respective positions in their most important stats.
Yeah, passing. I mean, Jamar Chase, like I just said, Jamar Chase is probably it might end up leading everybody and everything in the receiving category, and then Trey Hendrickson, I do believe he is first in sacks as of
Yes,
right now.
correct.
I saw this stat when it was comparing everybody in the history of football that has done the things that Joe Burrow is doing through ten games.
I
Joe
saw this
Joe
too.
I can't remember the specific quarterbacks, but there were three quarterbacks. Tom Brady was one of them. They all finished with at least 14 wins on the season and made deep playoff runs. Now the Bengals are sitting at 4-6.
It was
Mathmat
it was Brady in '07 in 2015. So they were 16-0 and 13-3. Rodgers in 2011 and 2020, 15-1 and 13-3. Patrick Mahomes in 2020, 14-2. Drew Brees in 2018, 13-3.
So read me the stat qualifications real quick.
Through the first 11 games on the 4-7 Bengals, Joe Burrow has thrown 3,000 passing yards and 27 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Players to achieve 3,000 passing yards plus 27 plus touchdowns and five or fewer interceptions through the first 11 games, along with their team's final records. And that's the list. Brady twice, Rodgers twice, Mahomes once, Breeze once.
Man,
I bet
yeah,
you Brady didn't win MVP either time, though.
I can tell you, Breeze didn't win the MVP.
Well,
That is such a travesty. I can't tell you. I can't tell you how much of a travesty that is.
do you want to know what's really a travesty? Let's think
That
about this.
you
Let's
want to
say
hear
Lamar wins it.
you want
Let's
to
say
hear a real
Lamar wins
travesty?
another one. Yeah,
Okay.
Lamar wins another one. He's already tied with Brady. What? That's a travesty. That's a
You want
travesty.
you want to hear another travesty? Dalton is requesting to come into the meeting right now.
I'll let
We
him in.
are we are 30 minutes into the recording.
We're balls deep into the recording.
Hey,
What's up, fella?
hey, what's going on?
Drop and give me 10, buddy.
Dude, you and I both know it would be a struggle to watch me do 10 push-ups right now.
I knew you were sleeping. I knew it.
The guy was laying in bed. This Netflix documentary was good.
Which one?
Sleepy.
We are balls deep right now,
And
and
Chris Boswell for MVP.
not well. Wait, so not only did you sleep in, you're 30 minutes late. Now you're jumping the gun on the rest of the pod. Thanks.
Yeah.
So we are balls deep in Bengals talk right now. All right.
Oh,
We
that team stinks.
we thank you. We just believe it or not, we just got done talking about different stats and about how Joe Burrow is the only guy to ever have the stats that he has right now, and
Oh, and
not
just
be like
lose.
and not be a Super Bowl like
Yeah,
en
yeah. I
route
saw, yeah.
quarterback.
He has more losses than any of the other guys on that list had in the whole season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Poor Joe Burrow.
Look at our timelines. Isn't that crazy that we all have the same timeline?
It was in our group chat.
Timeline?
Oh, was it? Oh,
Oh,
never mind.
oh yeah, dude. People think
Um,
that I'm sitting there looking at news on Twitter. It's just sports.
I just feel bad
Uh,
for America that we have to watch the Bengals and the Cowboys on Monday night in 2 weeks.
yeah. All right.
Like,
We're gonna fit. No, go for it. Finish your thought.
it's just I feel so bad for the not the Bengals. I feel bad for Joe Burrow, and I feel bad for Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson. Just I feel bad for Dalton and I, guys that did a dark horse bet on Joe Burrow to win the MVP. But the crazy part is they went out there might be in the playoffs. They're not done
Uh,
yet.
I was
Okay,
just
dude.
gonna.
I've been saying the same thing about the Niners all week. It's not true. It's not gonna happen.
Well, I was just gonna say to finish this out, right? I, mathematically, they are still in the race. which is insane.
Yeah,
Mathematically, they're still in the race, but I'm just looking at it right now. I'm not even looking at their schedule. Right, I'm just looking at their different performances. Joe Burrow is the ninth most sacked quarterback in the league right now, and I would understand Caleb Williams being number one. I would understand it.
just have to throw that in there for Caleb.
Oh, I was so no, and I do that for a reason. So let me ask you this: Do you see a difference? Do you look at sacks numbers differently when it comes to rookie quarterbacks and veteran quarterbacks? Veteran quarterbacks that have proven that they can win and they are productive. Do you see those numbers differently?
I don't know if I see them differently. I think about them differently, I guess you could say. Like I think with a rookie
That's what
quarterback
I'm
getting
asking.
sacked a lot, rookie quarterback getting sacked a lot is probably a guy holding the ball more often than he needs to. Or if it's an early round pick, just a bad team, because that's
Yep.
usually how it goes.
Yep.
With a more experienced guy like Joe Burrow, somebody of his caliber, I think this O-line's probably not as good as the ones he's had before since he
Has
was,
he ever had a good low line though?
I don't know. Doesn't feel
He's
It
like
never,
is,
it.
but this has been a whole career thing of this guy just getting sacked. I
and
mean,
that's
how many
true.
times have we seen that little meme and it's like, oh, you could have Penei Sewell and no one to throw the ball to, and then it's like Jamar Chase wide open and you getting sacked. I've seen it every year.
Well, and I guess that's my case, right? When you look at a guy like Caleb Williams, who is both on a bad team and on an O line that has been struggling, and they've been trying to mix match different groupings together, right? Like that's a struggle. Like that's tough. When you look at it with Joe Burrow, who is, I mean, one of his top aspects of his quarterbacking is that he's cerebral. He understands where he needs to get the ball. He's usually on time. When he's scrambling, he gets the ball out, right? When I see that he's the ninth most sacked quarterback in the league, he's tied with someone else. I can't remember who it is. When he's the ninth most sacked quarterback in the league, it's either an O line issue or it's a receivers getting open issue because he knows how to handle the blitz. He knows how to handle rushes. He has Jamar Chase and he has T. Higgins. So the receiving issue is not. He has Chase Brown, who is actually turning into a really good back for them because they like to pass the ball a lot. They don't like to run a whole lot. They like to pass it, and he's becoming a really good receiving back for them. So it comes down to the O line. And you're right, Dalton. I think the best O line group that they had was when they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the Rams, and that wasn't as a superb group either. You know, so I just wanted to pick your guys' brains on that a little bit.
So out of these, let's look at this last spot in the playoffs in the AFC. You got the Broncos there right now, and I just want to say I'm a Bo Lever, big fan of the guy. But you got the Broncos followed by the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals. Who gets that last spot?
Well,
Broncos.
you'd like to think it's going to be the Broncos.
Broncos.
You would. I agree. I agree. But
We
Tua's
have
looked
seen
pretty good since he came back. But you
we
never
have
know when he's gonna
Oh,
go sleep again.
since when have you ever said anything about Tua being good? This guy's a
I just said
certified
he's looked
Tua
good.
hater. Yeah,
That's
there's got to
true.
be some
That's
comment
true.
coming after that.
I said we'll see when he goes to sleep next. I said we'll
Yeah.
see.
all right. I, like you said, no, I'm a believer right now. He has gotten so much better week after week after week after week. Right? You look at the first four games, he struggled. He struggled quite a bit. You look at those next 4 to 5 games,
After
dude's been
that,
on
he's been lights
fire.
out.
Dude's been on fire. This last game, he had what 300. Did he have 400 yards? There's no way he had 400 yards, right?
I think he was like 25
360 or
for
something
30
like that.
passing, wasn't he?
Yeah, so he had 300 yards plus, and he had 4 touchdowns. I know that for a fact. You look at his throw chart, just mapping the different throws that he had.
Are you about to bring up the Drew
I
Brees?
am. This is
It's like they
second.
got the same coach or something.
I know, and I think so. No, this is my point. Sean Payton
Drew
is
Brees with the stronger arm.
Sean, Sean Payton is making this team a playoff contender. They've gotten better every week. They've gotten better every week. I think they not only do they deserve that playoff spot, that last playoff spot right now, I think they'll get it. I think they're going to get it. That defense is playing great football. They were a blocked field goal away from being the first team to beat the Chiefs this year, who are the reigning Super Bowl champions. I think they go win
Thanks.
that playoff spot.
Hey, we all forgot. Thanks for that.
Yeah. We're almost 40 minutes in. You can't come in here and start bitching and moaning about different segments. You can't be
Hey,
doing it.
dude. You
You
my
know
my
what?
schedule got all messed up. You know what? I was sleepy
You
at the
took
end of
a
the
nap.
day. It's pretty dark outside, and that it.
You know what? Go ahead and kick off this last segment here of our news and headlines.
1 second. I just got the document opened. Oh yeah, oh baby. We're talking about who should be in the MVP race. There's a man up there in Pittsburgh, and he does one thing, and he puts the team on his shoulders, and he brings them to wins. Down there, one of them Steeler boys, Chris Boswell. What a guy! What a year this guy's having. I tell you what, I don't think I've seen. Not gonna say I watch every Steelers game. I've never seen this guy miss. He maybe has never missed ever. Chris Boswell deserves to be an MVP talk. And I was about to bring up the Redskins kicker that won MVP. I always try to make it a point to remember his name. I never do. But this is the year. Screw Lamar, screw Derrick Henry, screw whoever you have up there. Is there anyone that's doing more for their team than Chris Boswell? I'd love to hear it if you got someone who is.
His name is Mark Mosley, by the way. Put some respect on the
Mark
guy's name.
Mosley.
He's the only kicker in the NFL history to win MVP. Now he did it during the strike year. But he still won MVP.
Yeah. He did the
So,
impossible.
so I mean, I did a lot of research on this whole Chris Boswell case ever since you brought it up at the beginning of the week. I mean, not only did he scored every point for the Steelers this last week against against the Ravens in a big time rivalry. I mean, those are two
Oh,
lost teams.
we
I
could
mean
go back and talk about an AFC North game and what it means. Chris Boswell, that's what it means. You're going to lose.
So I mean, he scored every point for the Steelers when they played the Ravens this last weekend. That was a massive divisional game for those guys. They were both at 2 losses. That divisional race is going to be tight. He is 29 of 30 on field goal attempts this year. He leads the league in field goal makes.
He's so good. He made that kicker in purple look like Robert Aguayo.
Shout out Robert Aguayo.
That's a whole other thing. Like, what's going on with Justin Tucker?
Guy can only be good for so long.
I mean, he was like best of the best of the best.
Yeah, right behind Adam Vinatieri. This just solidifies me saying Adam Vinatieri's the GOAT. People were going on, oh, Justin Tucker this, Justin Tucker that. What has the guy done?
This year he's been
kind of bad.
Frankly, bad. Right?
Yeah.
The only miss that Chris Boswell has on the year, he missed a 50-something yarder back in week 3.
Lights out sense.
He hit 3 50-yard field goals last week against the Ravens. He had a long of 57 yards this year. I mean, he's doing a lot for this team. He's doing more than any other kicker in the league for this team right now.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we can bring some attention to the special teams and the kickers on this.
There was a list I was gonna say of skill players that he has more fantasy points on, and it was astounding.
It's an impressive list.
He would have been tight end 1. He would have been tight end 1 in fantasy this year if he was a tight end.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love it.
I'm glad you got your kicker kit in here, Dalton, in this episode.
I love kickers.
You know what? I'm glad you made it in time. I'm glad you made it in time to talk about.
There was a split second decision. I woke up and then the documentary was getting good, and I thought, you know what? Do the boys need me? And then just like Captain America, Mjolnir to the hand, I was like, ha!
Yeah.
And here I am.
All right, boys. So going on to our offensive defensive players of the week.
Easy choice this week.
Easy choice. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic here. I can't.
Well, it's obviously Bo Nix for offensive player.
I mean, if Bo Nix played every position on the field, he could have done this too.
I mean, 28 for 33.
We've seen what happened the one time he had a pass thrown his way.
You guys just don't like when I have fun, huh?
I think that we've been on the anti-Taysom Hill for so long that we just got to stick to our guns.
It's just instinct at this point.
You gotta stay committed to the bit, you know?
Yeah. So for those who aren't aware, today is Wednesday, November 20th. we usually record on Tuesdays. We had to reschedule. All right. Usually we record these before the NFL offensive and defensive players of the week are announced. Lo and behold, Taysom Hill is the offensive player of the week for the NFC this week.
Oh, guy came to the semester final. He had the test the day before. Oh, look at me, I'm right.
I just said he was my pick. He was my pick yesterday
Oh,
when I was
well,
putting all this
no, I don't
together.
know if you read this document yesterday, but it didn't say Taysom Hill. That Joe Mixon on there.
Oh my God. Anyway, for those who are
Joe
unaware,
Mixon had a great day.
he
Joe
did have a
Mixon,
great day.
Can anyone
I mean,
tackle Joe Mixon? Is it possible?
I haven't seen much of it this year.
No one can tackle Taysom Hill. I can tell you that. Go look at the tape. The guy had 200 yards and 3 touchdowns all purpose.
Yeah, dude, he does
He
this
also
once a
played the
year.
Browns.
Browns have a good defense. That's the strength of their team. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, when everything's a weakness, something's got to be a strength.
Plus, the positive energy of Jameis Winston is their strength.
Yeah, sick. I thought about wearing my Taysom Hill jersey to this pod today because
That'd have been crazy.
this might be the only time he's
Yeah,
the offensive
instead you're
player of the
repping
week
the
this year.
athletics.
It's not the Athletics. It's an Adidas. It's an Adidas jacket. It's not an A's jacket. A
Were you
for
watching The
Adidas.
Sopranos before this? Oh, gabagool. I'm sorry.
He woke up this tonight and chose violence.
No, Taysom Hill definitely deserves this award. He did a lot of things.
I want to see this more. I don't know why the Saints haven't been doing this all year.
Is he not that good?
He hasn't got any opportunities.
Yeah, there's a reason. Neither is
Well,
Trey
he's usually
Lance.
hurt for like 3 weeks.
You know what? That was at the beginning of the season.
But every year he's hurt for like a 3-game stretch every year.
He's doing this while he's 34. You know, the guy is 34 years old. He's
Well,
not.
yeah,
He's
but
not. He's not a. He's
34
not a
for
ripe
Mormons
young.
is like 26 for a regular guy. There's nothing bad in that body.
Exactly.
The dude is an athletic. He's a genetic freak. I mean, just look at him. Just being a normal human, dude's a freak.
I think
All right.
Taysom Hill just hates that BYU has a Jewish quarterback now.
I know it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, you never mind.
All right. Well, all right. Let's listen to your guys' picks for defensive players of the week.
Yeah, I was gonna go for this guy Terrell Bernard, the linebacker for the Bills.
Yeah.
Had a really good week.
Where you? What's his jersey number, dog?
Guys, I've been a bad football fan this year. Nothing's sticking. I do immaculate grids at work. I'm not doing those as good as I used to. I think I'm losing a step.
It takes a real guy to admit that right there.
It does. It takes a real guy to realize at what point in his life there's just a little lapse in ball knowledge, and that's me right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that while we're recording a
Oh,
sports
come on, dude.
podcast.
My lapse in ball knowledge is still fairly strong statistical autism for other guys.
That's
Sean
good.
Drawn.
What about him?
Are we doing this right now? Are we doing this right now?
No, just the people will know.
I think that would be. I do think that would be an interesting live. And we keep talking about wanting to go on YouTube live.
Yeah, we can just sit here and name dudes forever.
All right, but again, Terrell Bernard was my pick. No, I don't know who you ended up picking.
I got Patrick Queen and the Steelers defense.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let me hear the argument.
10 tackles, 1 TFL, and a forced fumble.
That was a big forced fumble, by the way.
Yes. Plus, I mean, they just showed that Lamar's not a good quarterback the whole day. So I think that's always a pretty good thing to do. You know, if anybody makes Lamar look that bad, like they did, I will always pick them for defensive player of the week. And so I thought they were very impressive. You can also always go with TJ Watt, but Patrick Queen had a great day against his old team. Big, like we've talked about this how many times now? Big division win with that rivalry,
Yeah.
and I think some would say it's almost a bigger win than beating the Chiefs, but maybe not.
My defensive player of the week is Mike Tyson. just made it until the bell.
My special teams player of the week is Sydney Thomas or whatever the ring girl's
Yeah,
name was with
yeah,
the huge
yep,
cans.
yep.
That's special.
Made me feel special.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Through the TV.
okay, last thing I'll say about it. Zach Bond has been having a great year. Former Saint, right? Zach Bond has been having a great year. Vic Fangio, he's linebacker for the Eagles, if anyone didn't know. Vic Fangio, he was talking about Zach Bond earlier this season, and then reporters were like, "How did you figure out that this guy was going to be a good fit?" And he was like, "Oh, I was just watching him he was playing outside linebacker one day for us at practice, and I just saw something. I saw something in him. I moved him inside. The guy's averaging like 15 tackles a game right now. Dude's having a great year. He's not. I mean, he's not forcing fumbles or anything. He's not making TFLs or sacks or interceptions. But the dude is going to end up leading the league in tackles this year. So just wanted to give a quick shout out for him. He had another 15 tackles this week. So just wanted a quick shout out. Terrell Bernard, he is my pick though. Game-winning interception to put the Chiefs away for the first time this season. All
I
right.
like the pick.
It's a good spiritual thing too, because if you can stop the Chiefs from winning a game, that's like a otherworldly.
Yeah,
That's divine power.
Talked about it to kick off the pod. Actually,
Really?
we did.
Huh.
Yeah, good for us.
Can't wait to rewatch that.
All right, no, bring us in. Primetime previews, bring us in.
All right. We got Thursday night football with another AFC North matchup. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers -4 at the Cleveland Browns. You never know what's going to happen in this game. Feels like the only thing for certain would be the under. Feels like that's the only thing that's promised in this game. Feels like a real spot that the Steelers lose after everybody's been pumping their tires all week.
Here we go.
I was thinking the same thing.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. Here we go.
Electric.
I'm all in on the Steelers. I think the line's perfect. I think it's going to go exactly what Vegas thinks it's going to go. This is going to be a 13-9 somehow game, and the Steelers are going to
win. Might be 12-9. Might be 12-9.
Might be 12-9.
Might be 4 field goals to 3 field goals.
This game could be 10-3.
We're just going to keep pushing it down.
This could be 2-0. This is a possible 2-0 game.
Just a TJ Watt safety, and that's the game.
I was literally about to say that.
Or a TJ Watt 2 safety game 4-0.
4-0. Now that's what I want.
I want 4-3 personally. I would love
4-3 is funny. God, it's really nice of them to give us AFC North football on a Thursday, and I'm happy about that. I'm being honest. I didn't know that that's what we had tomorrow. My day's gonna be a little bit better thinking about it.
So looking at this game here, obviously the Browns are being the Browns. Just lost to the man. This is happening organically. All right, I keep bringing up the Saints, but it just happens organically. I do not have an agenda just because.
Yeah, dude, 90% of my brain when I think of football is the 49ers. I get it.
But Cleveland Browns lost big time to New Orleans this past weekend. Browns have not been good this year. They had a little Jameis Winston magic to start his first couple starts. What a stat that I saw that was pretty damning that's been making its rounds this week on sports social media and sports television. The Steelers have never, ever, ever won a road divisional Thursday night football game. Ever. They're 0-7 all time. 5 of those losses coming with Mike Tomlin as the head coach. I think this is their first one.
Or do we go with the numbers?
I don't know. My football brain tells me that now this is also a divisional game, so records don't necessarily matter a whole lot when you talk about divisional games. It's just like college, rivalry games. You throw everything out the window, anything can happen.
Unless you're Kyle Shanahan, the San Francisco 49ers.
But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers
this year.
Your Montana Grizzlies.
I think the Steelers pick up their first win on the road against a divisional opponent on Thursday night football. I think this is their first one ever. Now, I could be totally wrong. My football brain is telling me that they're the better team. that they're the better team and that they're going to win this one.
Well, my football game brain now is telling me to not be surprised when the Browns win.
I mean, talking about stats, I mean, like I said, those are pretty damning numbers. They've never won a game like this before, ever in their history. So, I mean, but my brain tells me that the Steelers are going to win this game. They're the better team. I think as long as the Steelers' O-line holds up against the Browns' front seven, Russell Wilson's going to be able to drop some bombs. He's going to. I think George. Did you guys know that George Pickens is like the third leading receiver in the NFL right now?
I saw it. I
Did
saw
you guys
something
know
about
that?
that.
Well, it's hard when he
Holy
just
shit.
when his brain goes insane at the end of every play. It's hard to know.
But so I mean, if the Steelers' O-line can hold up against the Browns' front seven, give Russell Wilson some time, I think they're going to hit some deep bombs. I think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively well. All right, Jalen Warren and Najee Harris have been having really good seasons this year, especially Najee Harris going into a contract year this year. Been playing really well. So I think the Steelers win this one. First ever road Thursday night football win against a divisional opponent.
I think it's just if the Browns let them get to the 40 and get their automatic 3 free points.
How many times do they let that happen?
How many times do they let that happen?
That's also true. So who are you guys picking?
I'm taking the Steelers.
Don't.
Here we go.
Okay.
I'm taking this. I'll take this. I'll take the Steelers.
Also, fun fact: every away team on primetime this week is favored.
Go to the Super Bowl.
Here we
go.
Not one shit given for that stat right there. All right, going on to probably I don't want to call it a snoozer, but this is probably might be the least interesting primetime game that we have this week. Sunday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are favored by 3, go to LA to play the Rams.
God, I hate that I'm in a point in the season where I just want the Eagles to win so bad because I just need every NFC West team to lose.
And you never cheer for the Eagles.
I never would. I hate those guys. But right now we're needing those teams to lose bad.
Yeah.
And here's another thing about the Eagles is I think it's okay if they look really good at this time. You know they're not going to win the Super Bowl. Might as well just kick it into gear right now. Because they're the Eagles. It's a Philadelphia team. They will lose when it matters most.
I disagree. I've had that team hurt me pretty bad.
I was going to say they went to a Super Bowl, what, 2 years ago?
They won the Super Bowl like 5, 6, 8 years ago, whatever it was now.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about like with Nick Sirianni, with Jalen Hurts. Like they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago.
And they lost.
They lost, but they got there.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they're not gonna get there. I'm saying they're gonna lose if they do.
Well, luckily we're not talking about the Super Bowl. We're talking about Sunday Night Football going on right now.
Yeah, which means they're gonna win.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. That's all I wanted. I know you don't like the Eagles, but
it's the NFC East. It's the NFC East. They are the regular season champions all the time. They don't win when they get to the end, except for that one time.
Well, like I said, we're talking about Sunday Night Football. For me, I think the Eagles are the better team. The Rams have been playing good football lately, and
I think this could be a really good game.
I think
I don't think this is a snoozer at all.
Yeah, I think this could be an awesome game.
I was thinking comparatively to the other 3 games is what I was thinking about.
I think if we were looking at this list, if we were talking like a true snoozer, it's going to be a good game still, but the Steelers-Browns could be a true snoozer.
Yeah, but it's going to be an AFC snoozer, which means it's just going to be so bad and so fun.
Exactly.
I mean, it's going to be a defensive showcase is what it's going to be.
Yes.
That's what that is. I mean, if you're a fan of defense, you're going to love that game.
I'm bricked up thinking about it.
But in my head, you know what? This is what I'll say. I picked against the Eagles last week. Not going to do it. Not going to do it again. I'm going to pick the Eagles again. I'm going to pick the Eagles for this week against the Rams.
The fact that the Patriots almost beat the Rams last week makes me think the Eagles will kill the Rams. Give me the Eagles.
But do the Eagles have Drake May? No, they got a guy who steals his teammates' touchdowns.
That is true. That is true. There's part of it.
How many times this season? I don't even know how many rushing touchdowns Jalen Hurts has. How many times has Saquon got tackled within the three and Jalen Hurts takes his touchdown?
I would love to know. I would love to know that stat. I
Somebody's got
mean,
to have hashtag
here,
stat that.
stop that.
I wish there was a drive where there's can you imagine the Eagles 1st and 10, under 2 minutes left? The other team's got all three timeouts. They just push their way 4 times, see if they get the first down. I would love it. Full drive. You're
I
telling me they
think
couldn't get 4 yards at the pop doing the tush push on first
I,
down? No one would
I was
expect it.
I need to see more teams. It'll never happen because it's the NFL and people and coaches want to be way too smart. I would love to see a team come out to start the game, just 4 straight quarterback sneaks. Just really set the tone.
I know the
Even just like
Niners ran one on third down this year and it was awesome. It was like 3rd and 6, and they're like, fuck.
In NCAA
oh,
25, sometimes I do that against Dalton. Start with a QB sneak.
Yeah, you want to know how many yards it gets? Not 4.
Well, that game doesn't let you get 4 on a QB sneak.
it just dives. All right. Well,
I
if you guys were wondering, Jalen Hurts has 11 rushing touchdowns this year.
Yeah, and probably one of those was over. Actually, maybe 2 of those was not a tush push.
Probably.
God, I hate that guy.
I could go. Why do you hate Jalen Hurts?
I think he's not that good.
I mean,
Regular season flash, that's what I see out of old Jalen.
I don't know what you want the guy to do. I don't.
Get out of
I don't know
town.
what you want him to do. Jesus. All right. So who are y'all picking? I got the Eagles.
Eagles.
Dalton.
I don't want to pick either of these teams.
Well, you gotta pick one.
I'm gonna pick the Rams in hopes that they lose because I picked them.
Okay.
Give me Rams money
Smart.
line.
A little reverse psychology. I love it.
Smart.
All right. Last one we got. This is gonna be Noah's favorite game of the week. Besides,
This is gonna be my favorite game of the league. This is an awesome game.
This is an awesome game.
we got the barn burner bowl coming in. All right, we got Monday Night Football. Baltimore Ravens going to LA. We got two primetime games in LA this week. That's pretty sweet. Baltimore Ravens are -3. They are the favorites going on the road into Chargers territory, which isn't really a home game if we're going to be honest.
No, I was just gonna say all 40 fans in LA of football are really excited that they have 2 home games.
LA is not really home field advantage. You would hope. If you're the Ravens, if you're on the Ravens, I think they think they win this game. I'm going to pick the Chargers.
I'm picking the Chargers.
I'm picking the Chargers for this one. I know why you're picking the Chargers, but Noah, what you got?
Give everybody a high five. Give me the Chargers
Nice.
all day
Yeah.
long.
Who's got it better
day
than us?
long. Nobody.
Nobody.
No,
So-
it's this is the Harbaugh Bowl also, which is exciting.
Yep.
As this is Jim's chance to show John he is the brother, and I think he's
Dude,
needed this opportunity for a little bit.
I don't want to bring it up. Jim had his chance to show him that he was the brother, and he lost, and he will not get that chance again. Love Jim.
Up the score.
Love Jim. Appreciate Jim. It's not the same.
It's not the same. You're right. You're right.
It matters this week. It does. I mean, these are 2 teams that need this win.
Yeah.
These are 2 teams that need this win.
I just think the Chargers have a better
especially
quarterback.
Baltimore.
I don't think this is a game that's won by a quarterback, though.
No, I agree. I think this is going to be a game of who runs the football better. I think who runs the football better is going to win this game.
Which, I mean, J.K. Dobbins / Gus Edwards revenge game coming in here.
There's one big difference in this game, and one of these teams has Lad McConkey and the other team doesn't.
So
I've seen a lot of Lad McConkey, and it's come up recently. I just love that guy.
I'll watch them all.
So I've been thinking about this kind of comparison in the back of my head for a while, but it just kind of came to fruition this morning when I was thinking about today's pod. Jim Harbaugh totally took the John Harbaugh formula and just plugged it into LA, and it's working. Right. He's getting into 21, 22, 13, 23 personnel. He's running the football. He took a defensive tackle and made him a fullback. I mean, the chart, like you just said, the Chargers have two Ravens running backs right now. I mean, we're talking about the LA Ravens right now. And Greg Roman, who was in Baltimore with John Harbaugh. I mean, we're talking about the LA Ravens right now. Same
I
formula.
mean, I see what you're saying, but that's also the formula he used at Michigan too. Was this like this is what how they played at Michigan? It was double tight I formation. Let's give it to Donovan Edwards a million times a game. I think it's just been. I think that's a Harbaugh personality, just in
I
general,
agree,
is how they
probably.
play.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember a 310-pound defensive tackle going to fullback at
You
one
want what
point?
I
I
remember?
don't.
This is how you know I'm a ball knower.
He's, he's,
Bruce
he's,
Miller, the fullback for the 49ers in 2012. I remember that guy. Both Harbaughs have always done this.
I
I think
think
he beat up an old lady or something later on in his career.
was it?
But he's a pretty good fullback when we had him.
I do believe Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator for Jim
He
back in
was.
the
Correct.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be a fun game. I love the Harbaugh Bowl. This is going to be a really fun game. I'm a fan.
It's gonna be a good
Chargers
game.
by 10.
By
I'm
10,
taking the
you're talking
Chargers
about
by
double digits.
10. Yeah,
I think that I'm gonna don this game an honorary AFC North matchup. And
that's
I
fair.
think it's just gonna be a 17-13 game. And I think the Chargers are gonna win.
I like that. I like that. I like that score prediction. That's basically how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
That's basically how I'm feeling right now.
I just think it's a better. You got a better. Look at every position. The only position you're not better at than the Ravens would probably be running back. Everywhere else, better
So
quarterback, better receivers, better O line. Joe
so
Alt's
speaking
been
of
amazing.
Joe
so speaking
Altalite,
of
baby.
I mean that's a highly underrated nickname, by the way. The Joe
Yeah.
It
Altley.
is.
I love that
It
nickname.
is.
Last thing I'll say, you hinted at Derrick Henry here. Derrick Henry, average touches and wins this year, 21. Average touches and losses this year, 14. If the Ravens want to win this game, they need Derrick Henry to run the ball. I know you have Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's awesome, but you need Derrick Henry to run the football this game if they want to win. With that being said, I think the Chargers win.
It's really interesting when you think about it, and when they rely on Lamar Jackson to throw the ball more, they lose. It's really interesting, but
Crazy how that works, isn't it?
crazy, you know. I mean, that was a really good 2-point attempt they had. Yeah, I mean, against the Steelers, that was great.
I think, okay, listen to this. I think there was a miscommunication on that play because if you go
Because
back
he
to that
looked
play,
up as he was running. I think he realized he wasn't going to get there and he was
I
hoping.
think I think so too.
no. If you look at the bunch at the bottom of the formation there, it was Nelson Aguilar and I think Charlie Kohler or someone. There was a tight end and Nelson Aguilar there. They looked like they were arguing right before the snap. I think they were trying to figure out who was going to block the edge for the sprint out and who was going to go out for the pass. I think
I
that's what happened.
also I also just hate the play call in general, rolling out left. Like I hate sprint outs on
I
2-point
agree.
conversions.
I
But
also hate not having Derrick Henry in the
your best
backfield because
player, yeah.
yeah. Well, this is another thing. Rex Ryan was talking about this. I wish we should. I wish we could do this daily because we could start talking about this stuff more. But Rex Ryan was on Get Up the other day, and he was talking about this 2-point play. If you're going to have Lamar Jackson in the backfield, right? He's obviously a running threat, right? And I think if Charlie Kohler, whoever the tight end was, Nelson Aguilar figured out, I think one of those two guys is supposed to go out on a route. I think that's why Lamar looked up and he kind of slowed up. I thought he was going to get the ball off. If you have Derrick Henry in the backfield, that splits the defense in half, right? Because you're worried about Derrick Henry going one way and you're worried about Lamar Jackson going the other. Why would you take Derrick Henry off the field
Do you think
in that
there's a chance
situation?
they're arguing about how stupid of a fucking play call it was?
Probably not 2 seconds before the snap. No, probably
Well,
not.
maybe.
Maybe. You never know.
I mean, if
I
Nelson
just
Aguilar knows one thing, he knows bad plays.
yeah, he got a big catch taken away. I felt bad for Nelson, former Patriot legend.
Patriot legend. We're just throwing that around, huh?
Well, he mossed a guy for the Steelers in like the second or first game of the season with Mac Jones, and I will never forget it.
All right, final picks here. We all got the Chargers.
Yeah.
Chargers big.
Let's see. Noah picks the
Just another
Chargers
team
because
that
he
I
hates
love. I'll
Lamar
always
Jackson.
pick them.
Noah picks the Chargers because he hates Lamar Jackson. Dalton picks the Chargers
Because he loves Jim Harbaugh.
Because he loves Jim Harbaugh. I'm the only one objective here on this pick. I think Chargers win. Chargers win.
I don't know about that. I'm a big Jim Harbaugh guy as well, and I just love guys that love football, and I think Jim Harbaugh loves football more than any other guy that loves football.
Dan Campbell would love to have a conversation with that.
Do you know who doesn't love football as much as those guys? Lamar Jackson.
All right. On that note, anything else you guys want to say before we get out of here?
Landman, really good show.
I was just. I think we're about. Have you actually started it yet?
I watched both episodes today.
Okay, I think I'm gonna start watching that.
It was so good that I forgot we were doing a podcast tonight.
The Landman is on Paramount Plus. It's with Billy Bob Thornton.
Yep, give her a watch right after. No one won't like it.
There's
I'm
a
not
scene
registering at all.
there's a scene in there. Him talking to his daughter. Him talking.
I'll tell you what, his daughter will keep you coming back.
Close. Him and his daughter are having a conversation at a high school football game. If you know, you know. You go check that one out. All right, boys. Let's get out of here. Appreciate you guys all listening every week. We love doing this. We love having fun. If you want to, I'll give out Dalton Lee's number so you guys can remind him when he's supposed to show up.
Shoot me a text.
I'm talking podcast night. But with that being said, love you guys.
Catch me during work hours. I'm always on my phone.
Play 8-ball pool.
See y'all next week.